Welcome back. Nigeria has launched a new fiscal era with the 2026 tax reforms. The laws replaced outdated, fragmented systems with a fairer, simpler framework designed to boost growth. Now, to protect the vulnerable, the value-added tax, as VAT, is now removed from food, healthcare, and education. Nigeria's corporate tax is now 25%, making it rate more competitive than regional peers like Kenya, Ghana, and South Africa. According to Taiwo Yedele, chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy, small businesses with turnovers under 100 million naira are now exempt from major taxes. The reform, they say, promotes transparency by digitizing revenue collection and tracking. Now, let's take a quick journey through Nigeria's tax reforms from 2015 to 2025, from the era of amnesty and stability through yearly Finance Act adjustment to the landmark Nigerian Tax Act of 2025. This evolution shows how Nigeria moved from revenue recovery to modernization, consolidation, and taxpayer relief. Let's begin. The era of amnesty and stability. In 2017, that's the VAT program, the Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme, a one-year amnesty window for taxpayers to declare previously hidden assets and settle back taxes without penalties. Now, the Finance Act era, annual updates from 2019, the Finance Act of 2019 increased VAT from 5% to 7.5%, introduced a 0% corporate tax for small businesses. Then there was the Finance Act of 2020, establishing a significant economic presence to tax foreign tech giants like Netflix, Google, etc. Now, within that period, there was also the COVID relief, which also provided various tax incentives to cushion the pandemic's impact. There was another Finance Act in 2021 introducing the electronic money transfer levy of 15 naira on bank transfers. This imposed capital gains tax on digital assets. In 2022, the Finance Act of 2022 raised tertiary education tax from 2.5% to 3% and introduced a sugar tax excise duty on non-alcoholic carbonated drinks. In 2023, the Finance Act adjusted rates on luxury goods and clarified rules for petroleum profit taxes. Now, the landmark overhaul, the Nigerian Tax Act, signed in June 2025, effective from January 2026, repealed 50-plus fragmented laws, merged them into one unified code, replaced the FIRS with the Nigeria Revenue Service as the NRS, and then created an 800,000 naira tax-free threshold for individuals, raised the tax-exempt turnover threshold to 50 million naira for small and medium enterprises, and then consolidated various small levies, as the police, IT, SANS, into a single 4% development levy. Plenty of grammar, some might say. But now I'm being joined by Armsfree Ajanaku, a development expert. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Armsfree, this new tax law, and it didn't come to you as a surprise.
Yes.
So how has it been? What reactions have you gotten from Nigerians out there?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to speak as a civil society activist and then as a citizen who has seen the groundswell of lack of trust and, the kind of pushback that we have seen, notwithstanding the very well-intentioned provisions of the law. And of course, there are fundamental questions being asked about, is taxation an end in itself? In fact, I heard somebody say, paying your taxes is one of your civic responsibilities. But citizens are asking the question basically, when we fulfill the civic responsibility, what do we get back in terms of what the government does for us? And have we not been paying taxes before now? Have we not been paying a lot of charges and making financial contributions, which can, in a sense, be equivalent to taxes? If my community does not have security and I have to contribute to buy a gun, to protect, for the vigilantes to protect my community, is that not some form of tax already? If the healthcare system is collapsing and I have to patronize private hospital, if the educational system is nosediving and I have to take my kids to private school, am I not already paying taxes? So these are the fundamental questions around the pushback of citizens. So we as civil society people, we are not falling for the tyranny of the technocracy of the tax discussion, what you call the grammar earlier on. We are rather asking much more substantial questions around the legitimacy, because now we are moving from the question of legality to the question of legitimacy. Yes, a law has been passed and all of that, but the pushback you are seeing is the fundamental question around accountability. It's also the fundamental question around transparency. How transparent is the process where there are, there's been back and forth, between the National Assembly about the version of the tax law it passed and all of it. So those are the questions that citizens are asking and they are demanding answers to.
Okay, so I would have thought that, I mean, civil society, first of all, would be excited that, look, for the first time in a very long time, 50 plus laws have been done away with. I mean, tax laws, multiple taxations now out the window. And then you're sure that this is the document that you, as an individual, can take that document and go to court and say, this is what the law says. What do you have to say? I thought that would be some level of excitement with that.
Yes. So given the complexity of where we are coming from, and if you look at a tax like VAT, for example, we saw the humongous amounts that the government collected in the recent past, even before this tax reform came on board, and how those monies were distributed to the different tiers of government. The local governments, for example, got very healthy sums of money. We saw monies moving around, but we did not see a corresponding improvement. And that is why I said we welcome the very well-intentioned aspects of this tax reform. But given where we are coming from, what we are contending with is a trust deficit. And you do not address trust deficit by waving the fine print in the face of people. You have also a responsibility to now tell the people that there is accountability mechanism, there are safeguards, you will be protected, and all of that. So a lot more explanation. And what I would say is that so far, in terms of how the government is communicating this, there have been mixed signals, and the people are receiving those mixed signals and are, and like, this may not really be the intention of the government. So you do not address the trust deficit by telling me that, 50 tax laws have been consolidated. I am looking at how does this affect my bottom line as a business. And so if you say, for example, that people below the threshold of 800,000 naira per annum, or who are earning within that range, will not be taxed, and yet in the same breath you are saying you are also trying to bring the informal sector into the tax net. The informal sector are the people earning. So there have been a lot of mixed signals. That is why we will not just join the choir and start clapping for this, just without asking real fundamental questions. So, in a nutshell, we welcome tax reform. We welcome the consolidation. Those are good things. But when it comes to the implementation of these laws, are we going to see a situation in which the vulnerable is protected? And much more importantly, are we also going to see a situation in which I play my civic role, I mobilize citizens to play their civic roles, and then this translates into social benefits for the people? Because if this does not translate to social benefits, then it's business as usual.
That's why the elections are there, so that if you elect someone into office, the person does not use your money well, you go to the next election and don't vote the person in. But would that be the situation here?
Yeah, yes. So there's there are two layers of this, and
if you can make it real quick.
Yes. I think this is a very important point you've raised. There is the layer of democratic accountability, which you have talked about, which is a brilliant structure that civil society is applying to push this. But there's the layer of financial accountability in a country where the Auditor General's reports in many instances can be ignored, in a country where many local governments don't have budgets. So when the people are pushing back, you should understand where they are coming from.
All right, thank you so much. We had Armsfree Ajanaku, a development expert and a civil society activist. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. My privilege to be here.